It's Customer Appreciation Day at Massey Stores. Join us this Friday, October 24th for a day filled with eats and treats, lively Creole music, and plenty of smiles. We're saying thank you the best way we know how with double points on all your purchases when you swipe your Massey card. So come celebrate with us as we show our appreciation for you, our valued customers. Massey Stores, our family, serving your family.
Contact Lucelec before trimming or cutting down trees that are near overhead electrical wires. Watch out for power lines before you begin working on a ladder. Be sure that ladders or scaffolds are far enough away so that you and the ends of the tools you're using don't come within 10 feet of power lines. And never use any electrical appliance in wet surrounding outdoors or in the rain.
This message is brought to you by Lucelec, the power of caring.
For more information on the Mix 7, how it affects you and your household, and how you can participate, contact 287-8096 or 287-7154 or email statsdepartment@govt.lc, that's statsdept@govt.lc, or ttoussaint@gosl.gov.lc, that's ttoussaint@gosl.gov.lc.
101.1 and 99.1. This is Turn Up Radio. Tired of the ordinary at lunchtime? Why not try something smart to chew on? The Lunchroom on RCI, Monday to Friday, 12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom, informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI, food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International for Thursday, the 23rd of October, 2025. And we are on to program number 1474 of the Lunchroom. I am your host, Calix George Jr. Now, of course, in addition to 101.1 FM, you can also get us at our website. It is rcistlucia.com, and we are streaming live on Facebook. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. Of course, please be sure to like and share that as well with your friends and family. And also don't forget that you can get us on YouTube. We're up and running on that platform as well. Of course, if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today in just a bit, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, that's our magic number here, 452-3046 to get that line. And you can also reach us on WhatsApp, 724-0008. Call in or message in, and we can, of course, share your thoughts. And we're definitely looking forward to that. Again, that number is 724-0008 on WhatsApp. Now, today we are going to be celebrating a very special individual, and she is Miss Eldika Nicholas, who is 111, not out today. Believed to be, I suspect, the oldest person living currently in St. Lucia, and we want to wish her an absolutely wonderful and fantastic birthday and health and happiness at this time. Remarkable age. It's not very often that we get people going up into their 90s or even to be 100 and then to be 110 and now to be 111. It is an astounding achievement in her own right, and we want to commend her, of course, for keeping it going. And of course, every day is another major blessing indeed. And as far as I know, I think she in fact hailed from the community of La Bonne up in the north of the island in the quarter of Dauphin. And she was around in the days of my great grandfather. In fact, I think she used to they used to work on the same estate, an estate he owned, and she's been around that long, and she is certainly a national gem and a really important part of our national memory at this time. So, of course, happy birthday to Miss Eldika at this time. Now, of course, a number of other people celebrating their birthdays today. I want to send out birthday greetings to Mrs. Claret Taylor. Happy birthday to you, and wishing you an absolutely wonderful birthday celebration. It is also the birthday of Miss Angel Dove. Happy birthday to you, Angel, and we do hope that you're having a splendid and spectacular day. Also want to send out birthday greetings to Mr. Ayambe Shallery. Happy birthday to you, sir, and we do trust that you're having a fantastic day. I'm not going to mention your age, but you're getting up there in age, sir. Certainly a big number for you today. Also sending out birthday greetings to Mr. Marcellus Mitchell. Happy birthday to you. And also to Mr. Rafaga Gordon. Happy birthday to you as well. So hope you're having a fantastic day. And it's also the birthday of Miss Tessa Clement. Happy birthday to you, and hoping that you're having a wonderful birthday celebration. I look back in time on this day, on the 23rd of October, back in the year 42 BC, the Second Battle of Philippi saw Brutus's army decisively defeated by the famous Mark Antony and Octavian during the Roman Republican civil wars, which in fact ended up causing Brutus to fall on his sword. In the year 1911, the first aerial reconnaissance mission was flown by an Italian pilot over Turkish lines during the Italo-Turkish War. 1942, on this day, saw Britain and its allies launch a major offensive at El Alamein in Egypt during World War II. 1977, on this day, the paleontologist Elzo Barghoorn announced the discovery of a 3.4 billion year old single-celled fossil, one of the earliest life forms on Earth. In the year 1981, on this day, U.S. national debt reached $1 trillion. It's a lot more today, I can tell you. And in 2001, the Provisional IRA, the Provisional Irish Republican Army of Northern Ireland, commenced disarmament following peace talks. We now head across to our dish of the day.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. And of course, when we note significantly individuals who are supercentenarians, I believe it's the term that is in fact used, we certainly have to kind of try to place them in quite often we speak about things that have happened in the past, and these individuals were already around, and experiencing and living life and breathing air in those times, and of course, in the case of Miss Philomene Eldika Nicholas, she certainly has seen a tremendous amount of change in her lifetime in terms of St. Lucia, and where we have been as a people. She would have in fact been born back in the year 1914, which was the year that World War One commenced. And and at that time, warfare was still certainly about using cavalries and horses, and the airplane was effectively not too long before that, just born, at Kitty Hawk by the Wright brothers. So a tremendous amount of change to have been able to witness, and of course, how we keep the tangible aspects of our of life alive is of course something that is important for society in terms of how we can understand ourselves, and that certainly has been a really important journey in terms of human existence. And of course, we have not yet been able to get to the point where we can keep ourselves alive for, really extended and very long periods of time beyond maybe 100 plus. But effectively, the need for records, the need for institutions that represent this important aspect of our existence, our history, is certainly very, very telling. And it certainly is a major bedrock upon which a lot of culture is built, a lot of the things that we quite often travel far and wide to be able to actually enjoy, is because of this desire to understand the past and to get a sense of who we are, get a sense of our ancestry. And that's a really massive industry in and of itself at this time. We think of tourism, and a lot of tourism is in fact based on cultural heritage. And of course, when you look at the countries that have the largest tourism industries in the world right now, there are places that quite often brand themselves on their heritage, their cultural heritage. And of course, you could think of Egypt, you could think of many European countries, whether it's France or Spain and others. They're all, of course, very much tied and dependent on this, on their culture. And culture can, of course, cultural heritage can come in many different forms, both tangible and intangible. Of course, the intangibles, let's start with the tangibles. Tangibles are usually the things that, of course, you can touch, things that you can see. And so, of course, the built heritage is very, very important. And the architecture, the way buildings are built, what they look like, their facades, what they look like on the inside. A lot of that is, of course, studied very closely, and to be able to ensure that we can say, look, this building was built in this year or that year, and this is what happened in that space. And of course, the whole importance of having the listing of these buildings for the public good, to ensure that we remember, the significance of these spaces in our very own history. Even right now, in the United States of America, a country that is relatively young in comparison to many others out there, in some respects, you look to quite often the the architecture that is existing in places like Washington, D.C., for example, which was a purpose-built capital for the United States when it gained its independence from Great Britain. And of course, the White House is one of those major iconic buildings which lots of people want to go to. And even right now, as we speak, we're seeing the demolition of a part of the White House, albeit not the main signature building in the center, but one of the wings of the White House, the East Wing in particular, which has had a very long association with that of the offices of the First Lady of the United States of America. That is currently being demolished for the most part for the purpose of constructing a new building, effectively a new ballroom a la Trump, because he, of course, wants to see a more grand space for the purpose of hosting major events. And so this is part of his own plan and vision. But of course, how those things are dealt with usually requires some degree of process. And we've been here in terms of our very own history, where quite often you see a building and the building has a history to it. And sometimes that history may even be completely forgotten by the average person, the individuals who built it, the purpose to which that building was put forward has completely changed. But yet still it survives within the built environment. And then, of course, you get the pressures of wanting to do something new, wanting to build something different, maybe grander in its place. And so it is really striking a balance in terms of what we can conserve and how much new we can in fact bring forward, and whether in fact there can be symbiosis in adaptive reuse of a lot of buildings that exist currently. Now, some of course will suggest that especially in tropical environments, there's a lot of the environmental rigors of being able for a building to survive takes quite a lot, and of course a lot of our construction in the past used wood as the principal form of construction, and we have of course seen the devastation of fires in places like Castries, a city or a town that faced up to 5 fires in its lifetime, and quite often a lot of that built heritage is in fact lost. But there are, of course, possibilities of how those buildings can be reused and sometimes given new life. And you quite often may visit a place in one of these metropoles, and you may see a building, and that building, in fact, may not actually even be. They may tell you that, it goes back to the 1200s, but maybe the part that goes back to the 1200s may be just the foundation aspect of the building. And because you've seen tremendous change over periods of time, different changes that may have been made, and sometimes these buildings are completely reconstructed as well. So it certainly is a bit of a work in progress, and how we can ensure that certain aspects in the past are actually still celebrated, because you may find quite often that some of these buildings are designed in such a way that allow them to withstand better in terms of hurricanes, in terms of major events, a lot of things that could be potentially learned. Of course, as we were listening to earlier, the efforts of the Compton family and Lady Janice Compton in regards to the matter of realizing finally the creation of a national museum is certainly deserving of praise, and we certainly require not just really maybe a national museum, but certainly even a national museum authority that would have responsibility for museums on the whole in St. Lucia, because as we can well appreciate, many countries have a number of different museums for different purposes and different thematic areas. Museums quite often are all about telling a particular story, and so there may be a certain period within which we want to go forward. Of course, yes, there is the British Museum, but at the same time, there are lots of other museums in London, where there's a Natural History Museum or the War Museum and the Naval Museum and whatnot. So it certainly is about taking that first step, a very important step in trying to realize the need for places of memory and places that can in fact conserve our national treasures. And there are artifacts, there is material that has been found over the years. When we look at the history of our island, and unfortunately quite often many of these things have ended up leaving the island. People have purchased them, they have been taken out. Some of them have ended up in other museums outside of St. Lucia. And for us to be able to celebrate our very own story is to realize that, yes, we do need a national museum. We do need institutions that can propagate culture. And it is a vital aspect in this regard. There are a number of institutions that have played their part, and unfortunately some of them are struggling even as we speak. Of course, we've seen more recent ones like the Monsignor Patrick Anthony Folk Research Center, which came out I think maybe about 1970s or thereabouts, right? And their work, of course, in terms of propagating our folk culture, our language, our Creole culture, in its multiplicities of different forms. And of course, we were speaking about tangible culture, tangible heritage. They are, of course, big on intangible heritage, the things that we can't necessarily touch, but the music, the dance forms, the language. A lot of that intangible culture also needs to be protected and propagated and supported. And so institutions like the FRC, we certainly have to be thankful for, and the work of people like Paba, the work of people who've gone before him, gone after him, Didicus Jules and many others, Mr. I can't even remember all the names right now, but I don't want to get into name calling because we end up obviously forgetting a lot of people. But Mr. Hilary LaForce comes to mind, for example, and the more recent blood, the likes of Raisa Joseph and the work that she's doing as well, and of course there is a need for support there. But we saw, of course, what happened back in March 25th of 2018 with the fire that destroyed the Mount Pleasant home of the FRC, and still the FRC has not yet been able to rebuild as they would like to do. And so you've got that institution, you've got also the St. Lucia National Trust, which of course has been under tremendous pressure in the past. We saw issues of defunding of the National Trust in years gone by, over pressures over development and trying to effectively punish the institution. And quite recently, that institution just marked its 50th anniversary. We do actually have a clip. We won't be able to play it within this dish of the day, but maybe when we come back, we'll try to share that. A very lovely piece, which was actually produced by the family of one of the founding members, Mr. Robert DeVoe, on the establishment of the St. Lucia National Trust. And of course, that institution coming out of another earlier institution, which is still around in some form, that of the St. Lucia Archaeological and Historical Society, which was formed way back in 1954 largely by a group of expats, the presentation brother Canis, as well as B.H. Easter, who was also a headmaster at St. Mary's College, and others, forming that institution and doing a lot of the early work in terms of research into it. The likes of Harry Simmons as well, doing a lot of that anthropological work into ourselves and better understanding of ourselves. So we certainly do have to take that into account when it comes to propagating our culture and protecting it and ensuring that it can not just be stagnant and not be static, because that's, of course, also a big risk that you face. You want to ensure that it can remain current. You want to ensure that, yes, you can look at the pure form of something, but you can also see how it can be infused, how it can be hybridized, how it can change over time, because that is the nature of change. Quite recently I was watching an interesting little video about how they were able to try to date when Homer wrote the Iliad. And of course, many people know about the story about Helen of Troy and the Trojan War and the Trojan horse and all of that. That was written by Homer, a Greek poet. And they were, speculating exactly how do you tell when it was actually written, because, in those days, nobody sat down and said, this is the year so-and-so, and I'm writing the story. No, it's not like that. And they're effectively dating it by looking at the type of language that was being utilized. And of course, language itself is a changing process, which we've pointed out as well. And some words are not in use at some periods, and some words change their forms. And so there's a whole study of etymology looking at how frequent words change and how long it takes for these things to happen. And they came up with, of course, a date based on that type of analysis. So it is a changing process. We know that, and we certainly have to be willing to and realize, of course, that culture is changing. But the important thing is that we keep a record of what has gone before, because you never know when it might very well become important later on in telling another story, in recasting another story. And this is exactly why we have to be thankful for our current day individuals who produce work, literary work, those who have gone before us, the likes of Derek and Roddy Walcott and Garth Santome, and those who are around right now, the Robert Lees and McDonald Dixons and Kendall Hippolytes and Jane Kings and many others who are writing in that sphere, and of course the persons who write Calypso right now and keep things very much current in this current era, the likes of the Sukus and the Rowan Sions and many others who also perform in these various art forms as well. So certainly the cultural space is a vital one. It is one where we have some level of competitive advantage as well. And even within the context of the Caribbean, St. Lucia, because of that amazing mixology of our culture, is very, very special as well. And so certainly we have that ability to bridge a lot and to be this hybrid space for cultural expression. So we certainly have a lot to be thankful for in terms of those who have gone before us. We have to appreciate them, the importance of of capturing oral history from those who went or who are still around and who heard stories from their own grandparents and others. It's important to really capture that because quite often you go and you look into maybe a gazette from 1900 or a gazette from 1950 or some newspaper, and of course they all have their own biases, their own areas where they focus on, and what is important within the context of these documents. So documents are important, but they don't always really give a very good social sense of what is really going on in the past and in those times. So it is certainly important to have multiple sources and multiple perspectives when sharing that story of ourselves. That's our dish of the day. It's a very long one, I know. But of course, we'll be back in just a bit to take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
It's now time for your weather report, brought to you by Island Style.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle. Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous tiles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for. That sounds perfect. I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation. I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Vieux Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And the forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east, southeast, and southeast. Near 20 miles per hour or 31 kilometers per hour. Weather, fair skies, becoming cloudy at times with a few showers. Forecast for the Lesser Antilles. Partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with widely scattered showers and a chance of isolated thunderstorms. The tropical weather outlook. The Atlantic high pressure system will maintain moderate to brisk easterly winds across the region over the next couple of days. Weak unstable conditions in the low atmosphere will result in a few cloudy periods with showers and possible isolated thunderstorms over the Lesser Antilles during the forecast period. A tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic is moving A tropical wave located over the tropical Atlantic is nearly stationary. Another tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And that is your weather report, brought to you by Island Style.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Vieux Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046, 452-3046. And as well, you can reach us on our WhatsApp number, that is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. I know there's quite a lot of food out there, especially tomorrow. And I was asked to advise that if you're looking for the best Pemi in St. Lucia, well, Miss Sills has it, and she is available, I think, outside Massey Rodney Heights, as well as CPJ at Bois d'Or. So if you're looking for Pemi, you're going to have to check her out, the lady with the red car. I was told to make that announcement from her especially. But let's go to the phone lines. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today? How are you doing, sir? Wonderful. Oh, caller. Well, no, I was not there, actually. No, I wasn't. But it seemed to have been a good crowd. So, yes, I'm sure they had a good time. Right. I think I do remember you had made that recommendation. Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think that was what they at that time the plan was actually, yes, to have it as the office of the Prime Minister, and there was also a proposal to have it as the police headquarters. So there have been a number of proposals that have been looked at. I think the police headquarters one, both of them actually went pretty far. Both the OPM as well as the police headquarters proposals got designed out. And of course, well, I mean, you have different schools of thought as to use, but I think what is happening right now is that they're going through a process of undertaking a feasibility study. So perhaps we cannot preempt that. Oh, Okay, okay. Well, yes. I mean, that has unfortunately happened to so many of these buildings. Another one that I'm a bit concerned about right now is the Donata House at La Panse. That has, in fact, since the special education school moved out from that premises, it actually has been not in use for some time. And again, that certainly is very lovely merchant house belonging to William Peter, of course, one of the coal merchants of Castries during the turn of the 19th into the 20th century. So late 19th century into the 20th century, yes. So so of course, and we have William Peter Boulevard named after that gentleman. So yes, we do have a number of buildings, historic structures that are still standing, and a number of them need help. They need conservation. They need. Yes. Well, we'll have to wait and see what the study says, because, I mean, there are a lot of other considerations that no doubt have to be looked at in terms of accessibility, in terms of parking, and. Okay, all right then. Thanks very much for that call and for that intervention. Of course, the number to call in is 4523046. Again, 4523046. As well, our WhatsApp number 724 there was once upon a time when we actually had a museum a museum of sorts, I should say, nothing too grand. And I believe that was actually located up on the Mon in the building that is currently housing the OECS, Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Commission. At one point, it was used as a space, a museum space. Of course, we've seen other attempts at doing small interpretation centers in different locations. Of course, the Walcott House was meant to become a museum as well, with another extension of it. Number of other initiatives. There was a proposal for Sesen, the home of Sesen at Patience, to become a museum as well. Let's take another call. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. And what's on your plate today? Excuse me? Okay, I'm not too sure what's going on with that caller, but hope he can sort himself out. Of course, the number to call in is 452-3046, 452-3046. And as I was indicating, of course, the desire for perhaps a system of museums looking at different aspects of our St. Lucian history, our St. Lucian story, is certainly very much in order. A lot of time and fascination of these early, I guess you could say, pioneers or antiquarians, historians, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. A lot of it was spent in archaeology, looking at pre-Columbian sites, pre-Columbian archaeology. That was very much of great interest at that point. But of course, we have a lot more of a history to tell. And one of the areas that quite often was not very well studied at all is that of the period of enslavement. And in fact, over in Barbados, they are undergoing a major program of developing a site on an estate quite close along the ABC highway, where they are looking to effectively create a place of memory for enslaved peoples who were brought here to the Caribbean. And so that's a major project that they have been working on, and it incorporates, I think much of the design was actually done by an African architect. And so the use of red earth in the images, places of memory. And it's all really, the thinking, of course, being set on near a slave burial ground. And of course, that has been part of the telling of what has been quite often a story that has not really been very popularized within our context. So even when we speak about the quote-unquote history of St. Lucia, a lot of the focus is on the European militaristic overtures, the wars that may have been fought here, but very, very little in terms on that aspect of the people who actually were in the main brought to these islands, brought here to St. Lucia, and the life and their own story. And a lot of work is actually being done in trying to unravel those family stories in terms of the genealogical work, in terms of where these people actually lived, what kinds of lives they were living. And there's been pretty much almost no archaeology done in respect of their story within the context of St. Lucia. You've got a few places where you still see some very interesting structures. Of course, a lot of them associated with estates. And so places like Union Estate, for example, where you still see some of these interesting buildings. You see the St. Lucia Distillers at Roseau, where there is in fact still standing a cachot or a jail cell, effectively, where persons would have been held if they were deemed to have been, doing something that was not allowed. And so those spaces, few of them still exist, but certainly the idea of the memorials for enslaved peoples is one of the stories that we certainly have to also tell. There was some interest in terms of, for example, things like Kele in the Barbono and the Foasaw area, and those traditions believed to be as a result of a number of free Africans coming post-emancipation to St. Lucia, when, of course, at that time, there was a significant shortage of labor, St. Lucia being one of the islands that had just gone through the Revolutionary Wars, which had ended up seeing its population significantly being impacted. You saw over 2,000 persons being taken out as prisoners of war to other parts to the United Kingdom and elsewhere. And so the need for bringing in additional labor was supported by a number of these persons who came as free Africans. And then, of course, later on, we saw the bringing in of indentured laborers from India as well. So certainly that story is one that has to, these stories, I should say, are things that certainly have to be celebrated, have to be noted, have to be understood within the context of museums or interpretation centers or places of memory. And of course, as we are marking Journée Creole this coming weekend. We are, of course, going to be eating quite a lot of food. We're going to be perhaps hearing some Creole music, but the issue as to understanding the life of what persons went through is also something very, very, very important that we need to do. You find right now lots of children growing up and they don't really have a very good sense of what may have existed just 30 years before and what their parents or grandparents may have experienced in their own lives. So certainly the importance of sharing, the importance of appreciating elders in society and ensuring that they have an opportunity to tell their stories is vital. The importance of the media in playing their role in that regard is very critical. And so, of course, kudos to the institutions that are, in fact, doing that. And, of course, a big shout-out to Mr. Bernard Fannis and Calabash TV. I know they do a lot of that type of work. And so those types of interviews are very, very important indeed. But I think as well, there has to be that national effort to ensure that these things can be conserved, preserved for the long term. And of course, we also want to send out kudos to a lady who dedicated quite a lot of her life to doing just that and is quite recently retired, Mrs. Margot Thomas. Of course, we want to also praise her for the work that she's done over the years in this regard. So let's hope that we have all a very, very good and enjoyable Journée Creole, which is coming up very soon. And I have no doubt people are already celebrating in their own ways. There'll be lots to eat tomorrow, no doubt. And we do hope that you can join us here for the lunchroom at RCI. We'll be back again tomorrow, God willing, for another program. I'm your host, Alex George Jr., saying bye-bye. Ta-ta.